Welcome back to the LearnXYZ channel. Today we are taking a deep dive into the world of PHP frameworks in 2025. And you might be surprised to learn that PHP is still a major player in web development.
Oh, absolutely. It is fascinating, actually, how PHP continues to power over 77% of the web, even with the rise of new languages. It really speaks to PHP's adaptability and the strength of its community.
It really does. I think a lot of people kind of underestimate just how much of the internet still runs on PHP.
Yeah.
We're talking about the giants like WordPress and major e-commerce platforms all rely on PHP.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that PHP hasn't just rested on its laurels. It's evolved to keep pace with modern development trends. We're seeing PHP embrace things like cloud computing, microservices. We are even seeing the beginnings of AI integration with PHP.
Yeah.
It's a testament to its staying power.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. We've got this great article from LearnXYZ itself. It's called Top PHP Frameworks in 2025. Why don't we start with the basics? Why are frameworks so important in PHP development, especially in 2025?
Well, think of it this way. Would you rather build a house from scratch, like brick by brick, or use a prefabricated kit with all the essential components kind of ready to go? Frameworks are that prefab kit for web development.
So it's all about saving time, efficiency.
Exactly. Frameworks streamline development. They enforce best practices for security, and they make it much, much easier to scale your applications as they grow. They are really essential for meeting the demands of modern web experiences, which are faster, more secure, and, increasingly complex.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk about some of the big names in PHP frameworks. First up, the one we hear about all the time, Laravel.
Laravel. Well, its popularity is definitely well-deserved. One reason it's so loved by developers is its elegant syntax. It's almost like the language itself is guiding you towards writing clean and efficient code. In fact, some teams have reported like a 15% reduction in code errors after switching to Laravel.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about aesthetics. It's actually about building better software.
Exactly. And Laravel goes beyond just syntax. It has a really cool command line interface called Artisan, and it's a real game changer. It automates a ton of tasks, and that saves developers countless hours of, tedious work.
Yeah, I can see why that would be appealing. Less time wrestling with those repetitive tasks and more time for creative problem solving.
Exactly. And then there's the Laravel ecosystem. It's vast and it's active. And there's this incredible library of tools and packages. Need to integrate payment processing. There's a package for that. Want to set up automated deployments? Done. Laravel's got you covered.
It sounds like the Apple of PHP frameworks.
Yeah.
A really well-designed ecosystem that just works.
Oh, that's a great analogy. Now, while Laravel might be the rock star, Symfony is more like the seasoned architect of the PHP world. It's known for its robustness, flexibility, and it's very suitable for large, complex, enterprise-level applications.
So if Laravel is for building sleek and modern apps,
Yeah.
then Symfony is for that heavy lifting, the mission-critical systems.
Precisely. And Symfony's commitment to long-term support, or LTS, makes it a particularly attractive choice for enterprises. LTS versions get security updates and bug fixes for extended periods, providing peace of mind for businesses that really rely on stability.
You would want the foundation of your business crumbling beneath you because of outdated software. Speaking of finding the right framework for the job, what about those who are just starting their PHP journey? Is there a good entry point?
Oh, absolutely. CodeIgniter is a fantastic option for beginners. It's lightweight, easy to set up, straightforward syntax. You can have a basic application up and running in no time.
So it's perfect for those who just want to dip their toes into the world of frameworks without getting overwhelmed by complexity.
Exactly. And despite its simplicity, CodeIgniter doesn't compromise on performance. It's known for being fast and efficient, which is always a plus even for small projects.
Now, we've talked about Laravel and Symfony, which are relatively new frameworks, but there's another player that's been around for quite some time, Cake PHP. What's kept it relevant for over a decade?
Well, Cake PHP's longevity is a testament to its convention over configuration philosophy. Basically, it establishes a clear set of conventions for how your application should be structured, and that simplifies development and reduces the amount of code you actually need to write. Plus, it's known for being very stable and reliable.
So it's like having a set of best practices baked right in. That can be a huge time saver, especially for teams working on projects with tight deadlines.
Exactly. And KickPHP also comes with a suite of built-in tools for things like validation, caching, and security, which further streamlines development. It strikes a nice balance between simplicity and robustness.
Speaking of robust frameworks, what about Zend framework? Or should I say Laminus project? I know it went through a bit of a rebranding.
That's right. Zen Framework evolved into Laminus Project, embracing a more open source and community-driven approach. And yes, it's definitely a heavyweight contender in the enterprise space. Its component-based architecture gives developers a lot of flexibility, allowing them to choose only the components they need. You don't have to load the entire framework.
So it's like a buffet of enterprise-grade tools. You just pick and choose what you need to create the perfect solution.
A very apt analogy. And security is a top priority for Laminus. It's packed with features for authentication, authorization, and data validation, making it a popular choice for industries like finance and e-commerce, where security is paramount.
Now, if security is paramount,
Yeah.
then performance is king. And that's where EE framework comes in, right? It's known for being incredibly fast.
You're right. Yee's reputation for speed is well-deserved. It uses a technique called lazy loading. It means that it only loads the components that it needs when they're actually required, keeps things lean and efficient, resulting in a very responsive user experience.
So it's all about minimizing that overhead,
Yeah.
making every line of code count. You know, for those listeners who want to explore even further, remember to visit LearnXYZ-In. They have a wealth of resources on PHP frameworks, including in-depth articles and tutorials.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic resource for anyone looking to level up their PHP skills. Now, speaking of performance, there's another framework that pushes the boundaries even further, Falcon.
Falcon. This one always piques my interest because it takes a very different approach, right? It's not your typical PHP framework.
Exactly. Falcon is unique because it's implemented as a C extension. Essentially, this means it runs much closer to the hardware, giving it a significant speed advantage over frameworks written purely in PHP.
So for performance-obsessed developers, this must be music to their ears. It's like comparing a sports car to a family sedan.
Another great analogy. Falcon is built for speed and efficiency. It's ideal for applications that demand the absolute best performance, like high-traffic websites or real-time systems where every millisecond counts.
So it's a specialized tool for very specific use cases, where speed is absolutely critical. Now let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about a trend that's been gaining traction in recent years, micro-frameworks.
Micro-frameworks. Well, they're all about minimalism and efficiency. They provide just the bare essentials for building web applications, leaving out the bells and whistles that you might not need for smaller projects or APIs. And in this space, Slim Framework is a standout performer.
So it's like a minimalist's dream, stripping away all the unnecessary bloat and focusing on those core essentials. When would I choose a micro-framework like Slim over something more full-featured like Laravel?
Well, Slim is a great choice when you need to build something lightweight and fast, like a simple REST API or a small web service. It's all about keeping things lean and efficient, which can be beneficial for projects with limited resources or tight deadlines.
So it's all about choosing the right tool for the job. And sometimes a smaller, more focused tool is all you need. Now let's move on to a framework that offers a unique twist on the traditional MVC architecture. Fuel PHP.
Ah, Fuel PHP. It's interesting because it goes beyond the standard model view controller pattern with HMVC or hierarchical model view controller. This adds another layer of modularity, which can be especially beneficial for complex applications.
So it's like having nested MVC structures within your application.
You got it. This can be particularly helpful for large teams working on different parts of a complex application. It allows for greater code reuse and makes the overall project easier to manage and maintain.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the well-established frameworks to those that are more specialized. Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's talk about a rising star that's been generating a lot of buzz, Adonis.js.
Adonis.js is definitely one to watch. It's a relatively new framework, but it's quickly gaining popularity, especially among developers who are drawn to its modern features and its focus on developer experience.
What are some of those modern features that set Adonis.js apart?
Well, one of the key things that attracts developers to Adonis.js is its first-class support for TypeScript. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript that adds static typing, which makes your code more robust and easier to maintain. And Adonis.js embraces TypeScript wholeheartedly, making it a very appealing choice for developers who value type safety and code quality.
So it's not just about chasing the latest trends. It's about building applications that are reliable, maintainable, and scalable in the long run.
Precisely. And beyond TypeScript, Adonis.js also boasts some impressive performance capabilities. It's built with a focus on speed and efficiency, making it a great choice for building modern high-performance web applications.
And it seems like Adonis.js is particularly well suited for building real-time applications, like chat apps or live dashboards. What makes it so good for that type of development?
Well, Adonis.js makes real-time functionality relatively easy to implement thanks to its built-in support for WebSockets. WebSockets allow for two-way communication between a browser and a server, enabling real-time updates without the need for constant page refreshes.
So it's like having a direct line of communication between your application and its users, allowing for a more dynamic and engaging experience. This has been a fascinating exploration of the PHP framework landscape in 2025.
It really has, and we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to discover within each of these frameworks.
Absolutely. For our listeners who are eager to dive deeper, remember to check out LearnXYZ-In. They have a wealth of resources on PHP frameworks, including in-depth articles, tutorials, and more. It's the perfect place to continue your learning journey and stay up to date on the latest trends in PHP development.
And stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive. We'll explore some of these frameworks in more detail, and we'll discuss the factors you should consider when choosing the right one for your project. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of PHP frameworks in 2025.
In part 1, we covered a lot of ground, from the enduring popularity of PHP itself to like a whirlwind tour of the top frameworks.
Yeah, we really did. Now let's shift our focus to what developers really care about: salary insights.
Let's talk money. Everyone wants to know how their skills translate into earning potential.
Right? Well, the good news is that PHP developers are in high demand. The LearnXYZ article highlights some impressive salary figures, particularly for those proficient in popular frameworks.
Okay, so which frameworks are the real moneymakers?
Well, Laravel and Symfony consistently top the charts. Companies are willing to pay a premium for developers who can build robust and scalable applications using these frameworks.
Yeah, makes sense. They're the workhorses of the PHP world, powering a huge chunk of the web.
Exactly. But don't discount the specialized frameworks. While they may not be as widely used, niche expertise in frameworks like Falcon or Yi can command top dollar.
It's like any specialized skill. The more unique and valuable your knowledge is, the better your negotiating power.
Precisely. And as we discussed earlier, Adonis.js is rapidly gaining traction. Its focus on modern features and developer experience makes it a very attractive option for companies looking to build cutting-edge applications.
So learning Adonis.js could be a smart investment for developers who want to future-proof their careers and potentially boost their earning potential.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on, let's sprinkle in a few more of those fun facts. We started in part 1, remember?
Uh-huh.
Did you know that Cake PHP powers some of the most popular e-commerce platforms out there?
Really? I always associate Cake PHP more with content management systems.
It's versatile. Cake PHP's robustness and built-in security features make it a solid choice for handling sensitive transactions and large product catalogs.
Okay, so the next time I'm browsing an online store, I'll have to wonder if it's running on Cake PHP behind the scenes.
You should. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's revisit a framework that's known for its unique approach to performance: Falcon.
Falcon. Falcon's C extension architecture always fascinates me. It's like it's operating on a whole different level compared to other PHP frameworks.
Right. Well, it is. Falcon bypasses many of the limitations of traditional PHP frameworks by running much closer to the hardware. This results in blazing fast speeds that can handle massive amounts of traffic.
But isn't there a trade-off? I mean, C is a much lower level language than PHP, so doesn't that make Falcon more challenging to learn and work with?
Well, it's true that Falcon requires a deeper understanding of programming concepts, but its performance gains can be pretty significant. For applications that demand extreme speed and efficiency, it's worth the investment.
Gotcha. So for those high-stakes projects where performance is absolutely critical, Falcon might be the secret weapon.
Exactly. Now, speaking of choosing the right tool for the job, let's talk about Fuel PHP and its unique approach to MVC with HMVC.
Yeah, Fuel PHP's HMVC implementation always intrigues me. It's like taking the modularity of MVC to a whole new level.
It is. HMVC allows you to break down your application into smaller, self-contained modules that can be developed and tested independently.
Okay, so it's ideal for large, complex applications where different teams might be working on different parts of the system.
Precisely. HMVC promotes code reuse, improved maintainability, and makes it easier to scale your application as your needs grow.
Nice.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's circle back to a topic we touched on earlier: choosing the right framework for beginners. It's a common question, and, there's no easy answer. The best framework for a beginner really depends on their learning style and goals.
Sure. But surely there are some frameworks that are generally considered more approachable than others, right?
Oh, absolutely. CodeIgniter, with its simplicity and gentle learning curve, is often recommended for those new to frameworks. You can get a basic application up and running quickly without needing to grasp super complex concepts.
So it's a great way to dip your toes into the world of frameworks.
Yeah.
And build confidence before tackling something more advanced.
Exactly. And Laravel, despite being more feature-rich, is also very beginner-friendly. Its excellent documentation and supportive community make it easy to learn and find help when you need it.
So for beginners who are eager to learn a popular and powerful framework, Laravel's a great option. And if you're looking to explore even further, don't forget to visit LearnXYZ-In. They have a wealth of resources on PHP frameworks, including in-depth articles, tutorials, and more.
It's a fantastic resource for developers of all skill levels. Now, in the final part of our deep dive, we'll step back and look at the broader trends shaping the PHP landscape in 2025.
Okay, I'm excited to explore those trends and see what the future holds for PHP development. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've spent the last two parts exploring the world of PHP frameworks in 2025, from the popular to the niche, from beginner-friendly to enterprise-grade.
It's been quite a journey, and in this final part, I think it's time we zoom out a bit. Let's talk about the bigger trends influencing PHP's direction. What's shaping the landscape for developers?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. What are some of the forces at play that our listeners should be aware of?
Well, one of the most prominent trends is this relentless focus on performance. User expectations have skyrocketed. They demand websites and applications that are lightning fast.
It's true. No one wants to wait for a page to load. We're so used to instant gratification these days.
Exactly. And every millisecond counts, especially in competitive markets. A slow website can mean lost customers, missed opportunities. So PHP frameworks are evolving to meet this demand for speed. They're incorporating features like asynchronous programming and optimized database interactions, all to deliver faster and more responsive applications.
We've seen examples of this already, like Yee's lazy loading technique and Falcon's C extension architecture.
Precisely. But it's not just about choosing the fastest framework. Developers need to adopt performance-focused coding practices and optimize their server environments as well to really squeeze out every ounce of speed.
It's a holistic approach, a constant pursuit of optimization.
Exactly. Another major trend is the rise of microservices. Instead of building those monolithic applications where everything is tightly coupled, developers are breaking systems down into smaller, independent services that communicate over a network.
So it's like taking a large, complex machine and dividing it into a network of smaller, specialized components.
A great analogy. This approach offers numerous benefits. You can scale individual services as needed without impacting the entire application. You can even use different technologies for different services, giving you greater flexibility.
And if one service goes down, the whole system doesn't crumble. It's a more resilient architecture.
Exactly. And PHP is well suited for this microservices world. Its maturity, flexibility, and the availability of numerous tools and frameworks make it a solid choice for building these smaller, independent services.
So for developers who want to stay ahead of the curve and build modern, scalable applications, microservices are definitely something to pay attention to.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's the ever-present issue of security.
Right. Security is always a top priority. But why is it becoming even more crucial in 2025?
Well, cyber attacks are becoming increasingly sophisticated, and the potential consequences of a breach are more significant than ever. Businesses and individuals alike are storing more sensitive data online, making security breaches even more damaging.
Yeah, data breaches can ruin reputations, cost millions. They can really erode trust.
Exactly. And PHP, as one of the most popular web development languages, is often a target. That's why modern PHP frameworks are putting a strong emphasis on security features.
We've seen examples like Laminus, with its robust authentication and authorization features, and Cake PHP, with its built-in security tools.
Right. But it's important to remember that security is a shared responsibility. Developers need to stay informed about best practices, utilize the security features provided by frameworks, and be proactive in identifying and mitigating potential vulnerabilities.
It's a continuous process, learning, adapting, and staying ahead of the bad guys.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on one final trend that I find particularly exciting: the growing integration of PHP with artificial intelligence, or AI.
AI is transforming so many industries. It's only natural that it's finding its way into web development as well.
Precisely. We're seeing PHP libraries and frameworks emerge that allow developers to integrate AI capabilities into their applications. This opens up a whole new realm of possibilities for PHP.
Can you give us some specific examples of how AI is being used in PHP development?
Sure. We're seeing PHP used for natural language processing, allowing applications to understand and respond to human language. Image recognition is another area where PHP is being utilized, enabling applications to automatically categorize and tag images. And then there's machine learning, where PHP is being used to build systems that can learn from data and make predictions.
So PHP is being used to power chatbots, image analysis tools, even predictive analytics systems. That's pretty impressive.
It is. And as AI technology continues to advance, I think we'll see even more innovative and sophisticated applications of AI in PHP development.
It sounds like an exciting time to be a PHP developer.
It certainly is. PHP has a bright future. It's adapting to the latest trends, embracing new technologies, and proving its relevance in the ever-evolving world of web development.
Well, this has been a fantastic deep dive into PHP frameworks in 2025. We've explored a wide range of frameworks, discussed their strengths and weaknesses, and looked at the broader trends shaping the PHP landscape.
It's been a great overview.
If you're looking to expand your PHP skills or explore a new framework, I highly recommend visiting LearnXYZ-In. They have an incredible collection of resources, including in-depth articles, tutorials, and more.
It's a great resource.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of PHP frameworks in 2025.
It's been a pleasure.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to LearnXYZ channel for more deep dives into the world of technology. Be sure to visit the incredible website, www.learnxyz.in. We appreciate you listening to the LearnXYZ channel.